Hey everybody, first off I want to apologize for any issues we have here. This is the first video I've ever made. See, a lot of people are out there doing this, and I don't know, I kind of wanted to do it the right way and explain some stuff here and show you what's in this for the comic collectors out there, the kind of hauls you can get, diving into the dollar bin. One thing to remember with these dollar bins, well, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name's Dave. I'm 45 years old currently. I've read comics my entire life. Been collecting, like learning how to care for comics. I started learning about 30 some years ago. I was probably about 13. I was back in the 80s. That was back when the Dark Knight era and the Watchmen, the symbiote suit before Venom, when that was in full effect, and the Mutant Massacre, which really got me hooked on comics. And I had some friends. I was lucky enough to have friends that I met and taught me how to care for the comics. To some degree, they might have been a little extreme. I was afraid to even touch the comics. I almost had anxiety, but read your comics. Don't be afraid to touch your comics. Just do it correctly. That's actually another thing I wanted to talk about is, if you're collecting comics, diving these bins, looking for keys. I know the key issues are a big thing now. I do it myself. Do it because you love comics, man. Don't do it because you can make money at it. I mean, it's fun to make money at it too, I guess. And I do love seeing the values increase. But at the end of the day, if you don't love it, man, it's really not worth it. A lot more people out there have really got burned on comic collections than people have got rich off it. So, the bottom can drop out of the market at any time. It's like a stock. It works just like the stock market, man. If there isn't a demand, if they aren't changing hands and they start losing value, there's certain keys. First appearances will always be why everybody always wants the first Wolverine, the Hulk 181, or the Amazing Fantasy 15 with Spider-Man. Everybody's always going to want those. But these other keys, stuff like the Death and Return of Superman, did it retain some value? What are they going for, like 10 or 15 bucks now? I don't know. For the fancy set, the deluxe set. There was a time I remember trading those in for $80. I bought 10 of those things, and I traded them for $80 credit at a comic store 2 weeks after those came out, and thank God I got something out of them. But at the end of the day, man, not all the keys retain value, and just because it's a key issue doesn't mean it's going to be worth anything. But anyways, last night yesterday was Saturday, and I found a new comic shop, and I went and dove through the dollar bin with a couple friends, and I wanted to show you the comic haul I got, because this shows you what you can find in there, okay? Now, remember, these dollar bins, man, you're literally going to find anything in there. You could find anything from basically a chunk of toilet paper to a 9/8. Most likely, they're going to be a little beat, but sometimes you get some gold, man. So here's some of the key issues I found there. First one, Thor 459. That's the first Thunderstrike Thor replacement. I got a theory on this, and we know that these guys doing the Marvel movies driving up the market. The guy who plays Thor, Chris Hemsworth, he's not going to be able to be Thor forever, just like Robert Downey can't be Iron Man forever. So they're going to have to replace him. Who will they replace him with? I don't know. I'm sort of inclined to believe, the diversity is a big thing, so they might want to replace him with a female Thor. But let's look at some of the other Thors. So this is the first appearance of Thunderstrike, 90s version of Thor. It's in the dollar bin. If you look at it up close, it's not great. It's not a bad copy, honestly, especially out of a dollar bin, man. There's a couple little barely spinal ticks. The corners are pretty sharp. Honestly, I hate to try to CGC this stuff, man. I hate to try to ever do a 9 point whatever, but I'd say it's probably around a 9 or so. I'd say fine to very fine. When I say spinal ticks, this one doesn't really have it, but I'll explain it to you. We'll find out in a later one. The spinal tick's basically the creasing on the spine. So you'll see like little white lines. That's not good for a book. It's a beat book. It seriously degrades the value of a book. So here's another one, or should I say two. Found two Thor 433s. This is the first appearance of Eric Masterson. He's the man who later becomes Thunderstrike. Now these are actually in really good condition. This one has a little bit of a staple that's a little bit off from the factory, you can tell. Let's see if we can get you in there. If you can see that. It's a little bit off. But other than that, it's a good looking book. This one right here, let's switch them out here. Look at that. Or you can look at the lovely Gal Gadot back there as Wonder Woman. This one has a little spinal creasing right about there. And when you're looking at these, man, tilt them. Really, the best way to do it is take it out of the plastic. Just put these in there last night. This is all fresh boards and bags. But if you turn it into the light, you can see like indentations. So you not only want to look at the spine for the spinal ticks, but you look at each corner and then you look at the colors. But you also want to give it that angle, and if that light hits it just right, especially when it's out of that bag, because that bag can be misleading. You'll see if there's any indentation, if somebody's doing their homework on it or whatever. Maybe a booger, I don't know. But yeah, so these are two more good, well, a pair of the same key issue. Good find. Honestly, I don't know what they go for, but when it comes to key issues, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. For $1, can't go wrong. Or $2 in that case. Now here's a good find right here. We got New X-Men, number 115, dollar bin find. This is the first appearance of Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And this is actually a really nice looking book. There's really nothing wrong with it. Maybe, I don't know if that's it should be the cover. I think that's the way the colors are supposed to be on. I don't have this issue. I've been looking for this, and I haven't seen it for under $15, $20. And it looks to me to be definitely a higher grade, up in the 9s. If you aren't familiar with Negasonic Teenage Warhead, it's the female character that is Colossus's buddy in the Deadpool movies. But this is a solid issue. Grant Morrison run. X-Men. Either love or hate the Grant Morrison. There's not much in between. Now here's an interesting book. This one is the first appearance. This is Amazing Spider-Man 10 featuring Superior Spider-Man. If you can remember the Spider-Verse Part 2 in the cover, you'll run across these a lot. This is the first appearance. Hey, look, there's two. This one's more of a reading copy of Spider-Punk. Now, I could be wrong on this, but there seems to be a little speculation on this Spider-Punk. He's got his own cover now on the edge of Spider-Geddon, which is awesome. I think it might end up being an iconic cover for that character. I don't see how anybody could not like this character, but he's definitely in there. I mean, in the first pages. This copy right here has one little spinal tick, one little crease on the spine. And other than that, it is perfect, man. This one has something on the cover in the corners. Can you see that in the camera? See that? It's like a little pudge. Can't see that too much, but there's some kind of pudge on there. But I'm going to take that out later and see if I can get that off the cover. I'm not sure what that is. But maybe it should just be a reading copy. But man, if this character takes off with this Spider-Punk like I think it was, still might be a $10 or $15 book somewhere down the road. I don't know. It's definitely for $1, take the chance, man. And then here's another one. Actually, I've seen this on a hot list here just this week. Well, actually, last couple weeks. This is Edge of the Spider-Verse number 5. First appearance of Penny Parker. Something else that's interesting about it is the first Marvel book written by Gerard Way. I forget what band